Hi everyone, my name is Amy. I am a practicing eclectic witch from Western Australia, and these are my beginner witch tips. First of all, I want to start by saying that I know it can feel very overwhelming for newbie witches, especially when they see people so much further along in their craft. And it can feel like there are so many rules that you have to follow, tools that you need, and there seems to be this whole witchy aesthetic going on, especially at the moment on social media. But you don't need any of that to practice witchcraft. My number one tip is actually to start slowly and start small. When I first started witchcraft, I found one thing that I was really interested in and I learned about that. I put all of my focus into that one thing and brought that into my craft in as many ways as possible. For me, that was looking into the magical properties of herbs. I started with rosemary because rosemary is one of my favorite herbs ever. I've always been drawn to rosemary. The smell of it is just something that brings me calm and peace anyway. It was just one of those things that was easy and accessible for me. So I started with rosemary. I literally Googled magical properties of rosemary and I started to write everything down. I wrote down ways I could use it in spell work, the ways I could use it in kitchen witchery, and I wrote all of that down in a notebook, my book of shadows. Which leads me to my next tip. You don't actually need any fancy tools to practice witchcraft, not a single one. The only thing that I would say is a mandatory part of witchcraft is get yourself a journal. It does not need to be anything fancy. I know you've probably gone on Instagram and seen all these fancy leather-bound journals with all the beautiful old paper in it. It doesn't need to be that. It can be a spiral notebook that you'd use for school. Just somewhere that you can write down the things you're learning and you can reference back to them at a later time. I also know just because I say you don't need any fancy tools doesn't mean you're not going to want them, okay? I get that. I love using tools in my craft. It is fun. But my one suggestion for that, if you do want to use tools in your craft, would be to find them sustainably. You can go outside, you can look in nature and use leaves, rocks, branches from trees. You can go in your garden and use the herbs you're already growing if you happen to be growing them. If you're looking for things like a cauldron or candles or maybe some jars to put your herbs in, go to the thrift store. Nearly everything that I own, that I use in my witchcraft practice, I found at the thrift store, including Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft. I have firmly believed that we are put in the right place at the right time for things to find us. So go to the thrift stores, have a look. If you find something that you feel would work brilliantly for your craft, grab it. But there is no demand for you to have these things. But if you want them and you want to find them sustainably, go to the thrift store. I swear to you, it is the best thing I have ever done. Your practice can be as subtle as you want it to be. If you are in the broom closet still, maybe you live with somebody who you don't want them to know that you are a practicing witch, your craft does not need to be overt in the slightest. You don't need a fancy altar. You don't need witchcraft books on display to be a witch. Your altar could be as simple as one crystal and a candle on a bookshelf. As long as you feel like that is connecting you to spirit and connecting you to your craft, you do not need anything else. Nobody else in your life needs to know that you're a practicing witch if it is not safe or comfortable for you to do so and for you to share that information. Your craft could be you sitting outside, grounding yourself in nature. And lastly, my last tip is that your craft is yours. Nobody owns witchcraft. There are no rules that cannot be adapted to suit your craft. The craft is a lifelong learning experience. It is called a practice for a reason. It is a lifelong journey. We are always learning. One of my biggest pet peeves is when a witch claims to know literally everything, because nobody does, right? Your craft is going to look different to somebody else's, and that's totally fine. There are things in my craft that I do that might not work for you. And so as we go on this journey through YouTube and these videos, if you've happened to watch this far, I want you to know that if there's ever anything in my craft that doesn't resonate with you, leave it. You don't need to use it. I hope that this was a little bit helpful for beginner witches. I know it's not super in depth, but if there are other things that you want me to talk about or things you want me to go further into, let me know in the comments and I will do that for you. Thanks for watching, guys. I don't really know YouTube, but like, drop a like, subscribe, I guess. I don't know. You can find me on Instagram. Everything will be in the description below. Love you guys. Bye.